Ladies and gentlemen, we are 24 hours away from the big day. Yes, the NFL draft. A lot of teams have been anticipating this draft, including my Lions. But I'm going to go down and give you a list of my picks on who's going to be drafted. Now, you see all these mock drafts coming out, and Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Adam Schefter, they all got different boards, and likely 80-90% of the boards, they'll be lucky to get 5 or 6 picks, right? So the tangibles of this draft, of a draft every year, is just so unpredictable. But I have a lot of, I took all these mock drafts and basically combined them and, put them in together as what I would say would be my picks. So at number one, Chicago had the pick and they gave it away. They didn't, they saw more value with trading down and getting more picks out of it. And so for the Carolina Panthers, how this trade is going to go down, how are we going to evaluate this trade is going to be in the next couple years, year and a half. This trade is detrimental to the Carolina Panthers because they have put all their cards on the table for this one pick. And the evaluation is going to be that if this number one pick, let's say it's Stroud, Bryce Young, most likely, or Will Levis, one of those three players, the player who they choose, has to be more impactful than all the other picks combined. He's got to be all pro. He's got to be, Pro Bowl consecutive years, playoff appearances. It's got to come through for them because they gave away the whole sack of bread for him, and they could get a 24, a small little 24 karat gold rock, or it could be a bronze copper, whatever, a copper machine, whatever it is. So yeah, with the first overall pick, if you look on FanDuel, I mean, it's hard to go against something that's so obvious. It's at minus 1,600 with Bryce Young. And I like the kid. I think he's a great player. Just the size is not there for a QB. That's my, that's what I question. I question because he's 5'9". He's a great leader on the field. He leads his team. Nick Saban, mentored him, and I think he would be a great addition to the Carolina Panthers. And it's just, can he get over the hump of previous quarterbacks being under 6 feet, having a tough time? Baker Mayfield is having that right now. He's a backup QB, and it's going to be competitive for him. His spot is locked in when he's going to start, obviously, but he's got to produce. And it's got to be more than just 7 and 8, 8 and 8, 8, 8 and 9. It's got to be more than that. It's got to be playoff appearances, all pros, all that stuff. So, well, like I said, Carolina Panthers went all in. Chicago is in a great position. They already have their QB. They got more picks to stack up on. They could trade them away for star free agents. So, it could be a win-win for them. More likely of the win side of Chicago. But if Bryce Young turns into this Super Bowl winner, they won the trade because Chicago had a chance to take him. And, they need the offensive line. They need defensive backs, but they're really going all in for Bryce Young. So now here's where it gets tricky. Here is where it gets tricky. At number 2, you have the Houston Texans on the clock. They just hired 49ers defensive coordinator in DeMeco Ryans, and he is a defensive guru. And if he sees something in this player, I don't think anybody in that front office is going to question his decision because he's seen the field. He's played in it for over 10 years. He's coached it, and he's coached it well. So he knows who to take. And everybody thought it was going to be Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. Now, Jalen Carter he was involved in a horrific accident. He came in overweight at training pro day. 9 pounds overweight. That'll really slump your draft down. So, but moving up in the ranks is a player that I advocated for months ago. Tyrese Wilson doesn't have the high ceiling like Jalen Carter and Will Anderson, but he brings it to the table. And according to multiple reports, every NFL team likes this guy, and they think he has the opportunity to be the next J.J. Watt, and he's going to be on the Texans. So, he's a great pass rusher. He can stop the run, unlike Will Anderson, who can stop the run, but he is amazing at outside contain. When they run the ball, outside the C gap, he's there, automatic. So he's been rising up, and FanDuel, the odds are looking like he's going to go. So the only question I have is the Houston Texans going to trust Davis Mills? Here's my three things to when you have an early pick. You want to get the player who can throw the ball to get to the quarterback or protect the quarterback. And they're going with the one who can get the quarterback. But they don't have a quarterback to throw the ball. Davis Mills, it's shaky. It really is shaky. I mean, I don't know how you trust Davis Mills to get the job done. Tyrese Wilson, he'll be out there for 70-80% of the snaps, but it won't be as much of an impact as the quarterback position. So if like I said, if D'Amico Ryans, if he sees this player and he's like, this is the next big thing, they're going to take him. So, which brings a plus to the later picks. And at number 3, you have the Arizona Cardinals on the clock. They already have Kyler Murray. He's going to be out for the year. So they might be the worst team next year, just because they'll probably just wait for next year and try and get another early pick to stack to help Kyler Murray. But I looked at a lot of boards, and I think they're going to trade down. I think they're going to want to stack up on picks for Kyler Murray because they don't have anything to play for this year. So if they can get 2 first rounds, a second for next year, I think that would be ideal for them to help out Kyler Murray, because they just extended him, to a contract that he has to live up to, and also the team does. So they have to pay him, and he has to play. But he's not going to play next year. So why would one pick be better than what Chicago has done? Getting more picks, getting something out of it, rather than taking a chance on one player when you can get 3 or 4 that can be on the field 70-80% of the snaps. And a lot of people are saying, they're going to take Paris Johnson, but I think the Las Vegas Raiders are going to trade up to number 3 and either draft Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. They already have Jimmy Garoppolo. I know that. But Jimmy's 31. He hasn't shown the capabilities of being a top 10 quarterback. And in this league today, you have to be one of those top 10 players to have a solidified spot for the upcoming years. So I'm gonna say they're gonna trade down and get some more picks out of it. And Las Vegas is gonna snatch it right up and take a quarterback, one of the two. At number 4, we have the Colts. They are in desperation for a quarterback. Their defense is great. Offensive line is great. Wide receivers, they have a great core. So I think, having a quarterback, which is something that they haven't had since Andrew Luck. They went through so many roulette quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers, Sam Ellinger, Matt Ryan. None of them have came through. So I think, and you go back to the Peyton Manning days, strong arm, accurate. And this is what Will Levis can do. And he can bring that to the table to Indianapolis. So I think they're going to draft Will Levis at number 4. And his stock has been rising too. He was at 9, 10. Come 2 days ago, he's at number 4. And I agree with that. I agree with the number 4. At number 5, here is where it gets tricky, because Seattle has Geno Smith, who played great. He well above expected. And they just extended him. So they're in a tight spot because they want to make the playoffs next year. They believe the team can do it. And but they also want to have insurance. They also want to have insurance if Geno Smith doesn't play as well, if it was a 1-year wonder. And frankly, I could see it as a 1-year wonder that he had. Played great the first year. But if the scheme fits, if his scheme fits, he's smooth sailing. He's got a spot. But it's always that lingering doubt of, will he produce next year? Like when he played the Lions and he torched us. I mean, he looked like Patrick Mahomes out there. He looked like Patrick Mahomes in his rookie year, really. When he started playing late, and he was showing flashes, and he showed flashes when he played the Lions, and he kept going with it. So I'm gonna take it's tough because you got Will Anderson on the board, and he's a tough player to go by, and they need defensive linemen. They need to stack up that D line to get to the quarterback because they didn't have it last year, and that was a big part of the reason why they lost so many games. They couldn't get to the quarterback. So I think with Pete Carroll and the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, I think he trusts in Geno Smith. So I'm going to say they take Will Anderson. It's arguably the safest pick of the draft because we already know what he can do, plus his really high ceiling. And now at number six is the Detroit Lions on the clock. If you look at FanDuel, they think we're going to draft a cornerback at plus 100 in Devin Witherspoon. I don't like it. You go back 3 years, Jeffrey Okudah, the first cornerback taken off the board in 2020. He got traded this year for a 5th-round pick. And yeah, we saved $5 million, but that's not what we intended him to be at all. We expected him to be all pro. Didn't happen. The only player that has really showed significant production is Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner is a once in a decade cornerback that gets taken these lower drafts. You see all these cornerbacks taken late in the first round: Jair Alexander, Sutton, Charles Harris Jr., just all these players, Darius Slay, early second round. That little gap between the first round 20 pick and the second round 50th. It's that little gap where all those corners just shine. So I don't want a cornerback here. I really don't. But now we're stuck in a position because the Lions, I don't know what they think about Jared Goff, and he played great. He played great these past 10 games. Did not throw one interception, not one. And previously, he was turning the ball over like crazy. So, and then you have Jalen Carter, who has all year been the consensus first overall pick. But now he gets into this situation where he's involved in a car accident. He flees the scene. He shows up 9 pounds overweight for training camp or pro day. Who knows if he even wants to, who knows if he just wants to get paid and slack off. Albert Hainsworth got paid, highest paid defensive player ever, defensive lineman ever. He didn't show up for anything. He just stopped playing. It was terrible. And I don't want to see this in Jalen Carter. And now you go to the quarterback side in C.J. Stroud. Stroud is a quarterback I've been advocating for. I think he's a great pocket passer. He's accurate with the ball, and he rarely throws interceptions. So I think if it's tough, it's really tough. These two players, it's tough. And it's something that the front office is going to have to do. It's their job. So I think it's like a balancing level. It's either you take Jalen Carter, and if he produces, it's going to go up. If you take C.J. Stroud and he sits behind the quarterback for a year, it's going to go a little bit down. So, but if Jalen Carter does bad, it's going to go like this because it's right. We took to have backup Jared Goff. So I can't give you a pick on that. I just want either of those two, and I pray to God that we do not take a cornerback at 6, please. Don't let it be deja vu again with the Quintricia era. Boob, Quinn, and Blob, Blob the man, Patricia, whatever his name is, Matt Patricia. Terrible, terrible head coach. One of the worst of all time. So, and now this is where the Cardinals get their 7th pick. This is where they trade down to. I think they're going to get the best offensive lineman off the board in Paris Johnson, a 6'7", huge guy, just can protect Kyler Murray, which is something that he hasn't had. I mean, he's running around like kids playing that lava game on a playground. So they need protection on the line. So and now we go to the Falcons, who they just acquired Okudah, and they don't need a defensive back anymore. They have Terrell and Okudah, maybe some safeties, but you don't want to take a safety early rounds in the pick. So they have Cordell Patterson. So, but I think they're going to go with Bijan. I think they're going to go with Bijan Robinson, generational running back. Can make those plays and just will do a lot more than what Cordell has done. Maybe he'll just still be on the receiving end, but in terms of running the football, I think he's going to excel. And number 9, going back to the Arizona Cardinals situation, the Chicago Bears are on the clock. They need linemen. And I think they're going to take Peter Skoronski because they just need they need protection. And number 10, this is where it starts to get tricky. And this is where I'm going to end it off, because if I keep going down the list, it's going to be worthless, really, because unless I get all these picks right, which is going to be amazing, but I'm for sure on those, first 2, first 3, maybe. But anything else in this draft, it's so unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen. So number 10, I think the Tennessee Titans are going to trade up to the Philadelphia Eagles and take Jackson Smith-Njigba. I know they don't have a quarterback, but Ryan Tannehill can still play. So, but I think that he's going to be the first wide receiver taken off this board. They got a lot of trust. They got no receivers right now, and I think that's what's going to happen. So, yeah, this is the draft on Noah Shimami's board on Between the Lines.